Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're talking about the Horus Heresy. This video is sponsored by the Game Bunker. More on that later. The Horus Heresy Explained, a short story of the War Master's betrayal. Not everyone is a ready-made Horus Heresy expert, and with the new edition of the game right around the corner, you may find yourself wondering what's up with the foundational chunk of Warhammer lore. What was the Horus Heresy? This is a vital period in the Warhammer 40,000 universe which has captured the minds of fans for more than a generation, spawning numerous games, novels, artwork, animations, and more. The Horus Heresy is the foundation myth of Warhammer 40,000. It's a series of devastating events set roughly 10,000 years before the current timeline which forever reshaped the galaxy and built the brutal horror of the Imperium of Man. While the contemporary setting is Warhammer 40,000, the era Indomitus takes place at the closing years of the 41st millennia. The Horus Heresy occurs at a more optimistic time, the end of the Great Crusade. This is when the nascent Imperium set off from Terra and attempted to reunify untold thousands of scattered human colonies after a millennia of galactic turbulence. We need to step back and quickly look at a rough timeline of mankind's history. Bear with. Millennia 1 through 15, the Age of Terra. Humanity dominates the old Earth and colonizes the solar system. Millennia 15 through 25, the Dark Age of Technology. Humanity begins galactic expansion, creating all manner of technological marvels to aid it. It fights most xeno-species, makes pacts with others, and generally grown in size and power, becoming a vast interstellar civilization, until Millennia 15 through 30, the Age of Strife. Two combined factors cripple civilization. There's a sudden rise in psychers in human populations across the galaxy, which causes a dramatic increase in the incidence of warp-related disasters, including demonic incursions. Meanwhile, man's reliance on the abominable intelligence eventually results in a revolt from the armies of the automata, and a devastating civil war. Civilization collapses, and countless thousands of worlds fall into ruin or are enslaved by alien species. Terra, the cradle of humanity, is cut off from the galaxy, becoming little more than a wasteland ruled by techno-barbarian warlords. Misery and suffering are universal. At the end of this period, a figure emerges to unite Terra. This is the Emperor, an immortal who had been bidding his time to strike. He conquers the planet with his armies of genetically modified Thunder Warriors, a struggle which takes centuries. Millennium 30, the Great Crusade. With Terra unified, the Emperor replaces his armies of Thunder Warriors with the legions of Astartes, the Space Marines, who are led by the Primarchs, demigod-like beings who are in many ways his sons. Over the next centuries, the Space Marines conquer much of the galaxy, crushing or driving off alien civilizations and bringing lost human worlds into compliance. The Emperor withdraws to concentrate on his plans that will benefit all of mankind. He leaves Horus, the greatest of his sons, as War Master, to continue the work of reconquering the galaxy. The Horus Heresy. Horus is seduced by the Chaos Gods. He turns against the Emperor and convinces half the Space Marine legions to side with him. What follows is the most brutal war in humanity's history. Trillions die as Horus and his allies advance on Terra and besiege the Emperor's palace. Ultimately, Horus is defeated, but the Emperor, also mortally wounded, enshrined upon the Golden Throne in a permanent state of undeath. Now a quick word from today's sponsor, Game Bunker. Game Bunker carries a full range of Games Workshop products including miniatures, terrain, paint, tools, and more. Game Bunker offers 15% off MSRP for most Games Workshop products with the discount code WHMS. Receive free shipping in the continental United States on orders over $145. Online orders ship out within 24 hours. Game Bunker is a veteran-owned business. Use affiliate link below, enter discount code WHMS to save 15% on most items at checkout. For fast, friendly service with a discount on your favorite tabletop wargaming purchases, visit GameBunker.net and let them know that Warhammer Man sent you. There's an excellent account of this in the first 3 novels in the Horus Heresy series from Black Library. These tell how Horus, having attained the glory of being the Emperor's War Master, was lured from the path, and how 9 Space Marine legions were compromised, infiltrated by insidious warrior lodges, and swayed from the path by cunning individuals who spread discontent, malice, jealousy, enough to ferment an open rebellion. The concluding events of the Horus Heresy are beautifully described in the Siege of Terra sequence, which are some of the finest warrior novels ever written. They describe how the War Master's legions smash their way into Sol System, and batter through every defense that remaining loyalists can erect, and ultimately through the walls of the Imperial Palace. With victory almost in his grasp, yet unable to break the defenders and take on the Emperor himself, Horus learns that long-awaited Imperial reinforcements are but days away from Terra. In a desperate gambit, he lowers the shields of his flagship, challenging the Emperor to a personal combat. Horus is slain, but the Emperor is so mortally wounded that his aides ensconce him in the Golden Throne, and his death's door existence can now only be sustained through the sacrifice of thousands of psychically attuned individuals every day for 10,000 years. Everything the Emperor and his followers had fought for is tainted. An Imperium founded on rationality rapidly begins to resemble a death cult, first honoring then worshipping the Emperor as God. The traitors, initially scorned and defeated, are scorned from the galaxy for all time, only to regroup and prepare for their long war. How is it different to Warhammer 40,000? These settings feature many of the same locations and even a few cases characters despite being divided by 10,000 years. The Horus Heresy occurs at a time of humanity's highest hopes, with the Space Marine legions and the mighty fleets of the Great Crusade. It feels like the Imperium has a chance for victory. but the Horus Heresy irrevocably ruins all of that. By the 41st millennia, the Imperium has become a superstitious shadow. Fear and ritual dominate every aspect of life, and the vast bureaucracies of the Adeptus Ministorum, the Imperial City, and the Adeptus Administratum, essentially a titanic administrative body, control almost everything. Many advances in technology are lost, and the few that are made anew come at an appalling cost. Life is brutal, and the fractured Imperial survives under constant threat of aliens, mutants, and traitor legions, and worse. Alright, so very cool, just a quick little backstory and summary of the Horus Heresy and how things came to be in Warhammer 40,000. There are tons of different books that go into the lore and the story in much more detail, following various arcs of specific characters or specific chapters, battles, etc. So if you are interested or intrigued, care to find out more, definitely look more deeply into the Horus Heresy and some of the different characters and stories or big battles, as you may find something that's much more appealing than others. There's a lot of different authors of the various Horus Heresy books, so if you find one whose particular style of writing interests you the most or appeals to you, you can always follow a specific author and some of the tales they tell. But there's a ton of different story arcs and different awesome paths that you can follow. I highly recommend that you look more into it. Tons of different content creators out there that have created amazing and awesome videos or summaries of some of the battles, some of the characters, or just some of the specific chapters. I think for me personally, the Horus Heresy story and lore is something that has always got me so excited about Warhammer 40,000 and the Warhammer universe. And then leading up to the current days in Warhammer 40,000, explains some of the backstories or current conditions of what is by far my favorite lore, universe, and game. So let me know if there are any particular books or story arcs that you followed that have certainly interested you, gotten you even more excited about the Warhammer 40,000 universe, or fully entrenched you into the backstory and lore. If you got any particular characters or stories that you want to learn about, feel free to leave those down in the comments as well, as I'm sure the community will be able to jump in and tell you where to start. Always like to hear back from you guys in the comments. And as always, special thanks to the Game Bunker for sponsoring the channel. Check out the link in the description to save 15% on most Games Workshop products with code WHMS at checkout. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm out of here.